Hey guys, Eric Su here. Hope you're doing well. Welcome back to another episode of Next Gen MLM Hacks Radio. This one's going to be a fun one, and it's also going to be a series. So if you're watching on YouTube or listening on iTunes, be sure to stay tuned. We got into network marketing with dreams and hopes that it will change our lives and financial futures. Soon we realized that most everything being taught are either old, outdated tactics or worn-out sales methods creating broken relationships. On top of that, we're held back from our network marketing companies to innovate and advance the industry on the internet. What's so wrong with using the internet to grow our teams and businesses? This podcast will show serious network marketers like you and me are burning the boats and liberating ourselves from archaic and backward methods. By the way, we're creating massive movements without nagging our family and friends. Follow this podcast while I uncover fresh, current methods I'm using to build my global team and get people asking to join my team. Finally, there's an exciting brand new way without all those slow, restrictive, and outdated methods. My name is Eric Su, and welcome to Next Gen MLM Hacks Radio. Hey everyone, before diving into today's episode, I have a special message. As you know, attending live events are super important. They give us experiences and create moments that we could never get sitting on the couch. With that said, I am super excited to share with you a network marketing event hosted by the company I represent. I just wanted to be upfront with you about this, so no hate comments for inviting people to this event. Now, if you are open to taking a look, want to work with me, or just curious about this company, visit a special application funnel I created so you can learn more and order a ticket. It's www.nextgenmlmhacks.com/we become more. WEBECOMEMORE. Hope to see you there. All right, so I'm putting together this series, and it's going to be a 5-part series based off of my book called Network Marketing Rebooted. And I'm basically going over some of the chapters in this book so that you understand what's in it. And if you want to get a copy, you can get a free copy. Just go to the link in the post and you can get your free copy there. Okay. All right. So I just wanted to go over the first topic in the book, which is knowing your market, or how to find your market. I know that a lot of times we think that we know who we want to market to, and we think that we know what type of person that will buy our products, right? But I want to go into this a little bit more in depth and maybe a little bit differently than you have in the past, okay? So the first part is knowing what is your market, right? And so there's basically 3 types of markets if you ask me, and those are the wealth market, the health market, and the relationship market. And if you think there's one more other market out there, go ahead and comment below and let me know. But there's 3 markets that we have to realize, and you have to pick one of them, or sometimes you can kind of overlap and go into 2. And so I was told once as a challenge, if I could figure out which market Gillette, the razor company, if you're familiar with them, what market are they in? And I had to think about that for a second, because they sell razors, and razors remove hair, and mainly for men. They also sell for women, but they remove hair, right? And so is that a product in the health? It probably is, right? It's good for your hygiene and so forth. But also, what about relationships? Do you think that what they offer, the product that is, if that product helps with a person's relationship? And I think it does. And if you think about it, it causes people to look good, and helps them attract the opposite sex. And so it's about relationships too. Okay, so not only is it hygiene, but it's also relationships. And so if you kind of think about your own products, what market does your product serve? Okay, so you have to kind of do that for yourself. For most people, it's pretty easy. If you're in the health and nutrition world, health and wellness, then you're basically, or if you have products in those niches or in that market, then you're pretty much in that market. So for the most part, you can identify what market you're in. For me, I'm definitely in the health market, and so that's the product I promote, and so that's the first step. All right, so let's move on. I think that's pretty straightforward. So the second one. Okay, so teaching point number 2, if you want to put these in teaching points, the teaching point number 1 was knowing your market. Now, teaching point 2 would be knowing what your sub-market is. Now, what would that, if we go back to Gillette, what is the sub-market? Would it be men over 40? Would it be college-age students? Would it be moms who just don't like to have hairy legs, things like that? So knowing your sub-market, so you have the bigger puzzle or a bigger piece, which is the health and maybe the relationship market. And then you have if we're going back to the Gillette, for example, and then going into your sub-market, who are they attracting? What sub-market do they want to attract, right? And so could they be attracting, like I said, 40-year-olds, 30-year-olds, college students? Could they be targeting the mom or the female who just doesn't want hairy legs or armpits, right? So you want to identify what sub-market within that bigger health market you want to create your messages around, right? And so understanding your sub-market is really, really key. Now, this is really important. Why? Because you can't really talk to everyone and expect everyone to just say, yes, I want Gillette, right? And so this kind of helps narrow down your messaging and focuses you in what direction you want to go with your campaigns and so forth. And that's something we'll talk about down the road. But knowing your sub-market is point number 2. So what is your sub-market from your market that you have identified? Okay, so you got your market, and now you want to identify your sub-market. Okay, so that is teaching point number 2. All right, so let's get back to, or let's move forward to, now that we've identified your sub-market, let's maybe carve out the niche that you want to be known for, right? And so if you want to go back to Gillette for a second, and they have now a sub-market, let's just say women who don't like hairy legs, right? And so you want to carve out your niche, which means now you want to separate yourself from the competition or people who are doing similar things, right? So are you going to say that your product is going to make shaving less painful and quicker with a tweak to how the razors are created, something like that, right? And so now you're carving out a niche specifically just for your product, right? Now, you're probably thinking, well, you have a created product already, right? And so what you can do now is, with that already created product, figure out what the advantages are of that product and carve out a niche from that sub-market, okay? And so if you're following me, you've already identified which market you're in, and now your sub-market you're going to identify by focusing in on a certain group, right? Now, within that subgroup, there's going to be something that you can identify to make yourself even more narrow or niche down, right? And so, this is how we're going to now create your own blue ocean. Now, I'm going to be talking about oceans for a second here. And this was a concept that it was introduced to me a while back ago, and it kind of made sense right away. And that is that, everyone is doing something that is similar. if you're in the health and wellness space, right? And so there's the health market, right? And then within the health market, there's a lot of people who have different ways of helping people in the health and wellness industry, right? So there are people who teach fitness, there are people who teach nutrition, people who teach certain holistic ways. Some people are doctors, some people are, you get the point, right? And so within all those particular categories within the market, you have a sub-market that you can create because maybe you're a fitness trainer that only teaches overweight people 500 overweight people who are 50 pounds or above, right? And so you now created your sub-market. But then there are people who already are doing that, right? So what can you can create, or what can you say that you are different to create a new niche? And that would be your blue ocean, meaning it's less competition, because within the sub-market, there's going to be still a lot of people who are competing with that group of people who are trying to help people who are 50 pounds or above, right? And so that's still called a red ocean. And there's even more of a red ocean when you go back to the health market, for example. There's all these other people who are trying to help people, and so there's always this competition of getting to that one particular customer that you want, right? And so that's a real red ocean, if that makes sense. And so you go down into your sub-market, which is a little bit less red, because now you're focusing on this particular niche, if you will. I'm going to use the word niche as a way to segment the whole group, right? And so now you have this red, a little bit less red in a sub-market, but then now you want to create something of your own, which is called a blue ocean. And blue ocean meaning clear waters, so there's not a lot of competition. And so you're carving that out for yourself. Now, something that you have to realize is that you want to be able to set yourself up as the expert almost in a particular area within that sub-market. Okay, so if you have identified that there is a big pool or a large group, a solid group of sub-market industry, for example, let's go back to the 50 pounds and over group, those who are helping those types of people, okay, perhaps you can become someone who is complementary to that subgroup. So not that you're competing with all those people in that subgroup, but there's people there, but you are creating something that complements that group of people so that you can attract them to you, and therefore creating, okay, pulling out almost customers to create your own blue ocean and market or niche, right? Because ultimately what happens is that we all want to create a community, and a community of people that are going to do what you say, follow you, become raving fans, and so forth, right? And so where are these people? We can't just automatically create a blue ocean and expect people to follow us, because sometimes that is too far out there, if you will. And so we have to kind of go into this sub-market so that once we are in there, we can complement those who are in that space, okay? And so that everyone wins, okay? Does that make sense? I don't want to go into a red ocean and try to compete, because that's an uphill battle. But if there's a way that we can collaborate, I can work with other people who are already in this space so that we all win. That is an amazing way to work, I think. Because ultimately, who has the resources and who has the time to carve out a whole niche and a whole group just for themselves? And so my suggestion here is to go ahead and work within that sub-market that you've identified and complement versus compete in that space, so that you are creating your own little niche within that sub-market, but complementary to everyone else. And I think that will help everyone who is in that group. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay, so I do want to continue this conversation here, and we're almost to the end here. But this last point, which is creating your ideal customer avatar. Okay, so if we go back to this sub-market here, and we're going to talk about the 50 pounds and over client. That is a specific target person or customer that we want to attract, right? And so that's an example, right? So is the person that you want to speak to. So this is going to help you with your messaging. This is going to help you with all your future content. But what is your ideal customer avatar? Do you know what this person's habits are? Do you know where they go? Do you know what they like and dislike? Do you know their habits, right? And so if we can identify this type of person, then we can better create our sales messages, our campaigns, and do things that will attract them to us. Okay, so once again, you have to be able to complement a lot of what they are currently doing, so that they don't feel like you are pulling them, so they don't feel like you're pulling them away from what they're used to, I guess, right? And so another example would be like, let me think here. People love going to the movies, for example, right? And so instead of creating a whole new movie theater and investing in all that money into it, would there be a way that you can take what you have and complement that movie theater, so that not only the movie theater wins, but you win, right? And so if that kind of makes sense, is that we want to complement what already exists, right? Instead of trying to break out and do something totally different. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense, and that all begins with knowing what your market is, and identifying your sub-market, what your specialty is, and then creating that niche and targeting your ideal customer avatar. And I hope that all kind of comes together for you in figuring out how to identify your market and how to identify who you're going to target. Okay, so that is the first video, or this is the first video about my Network Marketing Rebooted book, and I hope you guys got some value out of this. There's going to be a few more videos along with this, and again, if you want to grab my book, it's a free book. Go to the link in the post. It's called Network Marketing Rebooted.com, and you can get a free copy if you want to get some of the worksheets inside the book and so forth that's included, so that you can follow along, and you don't have to watch this video or listen to this on iTunes over again. And so that would be great. Anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed this, and look out for my future videos. So that means subscribe and like this video and hit the notification button so that you can get future videos just like this. All right, you guys, until next time, stay hungry and never give up. There you go. Wasn't that an awesome episode? Hey, you know what would be cool? You taking a few seconds to leave me an iTunes feedback. You never know, I might give you a shout out for it. Are you teaching your downline outdated MLM marketing strategies even though you know that there's a better way? Well, here's your chance to do something about this. Check this out. I put together a free 5-part video recruiting training series teaching you the latest marketing strategies to grow your business. To get this free master pack emailed straight into your inbox, subscribe to this podcast at www.nextgenmlmhacksradio.com. Again, the course is free, and this will help your team and help you understand what I am doing. Go download it now at www.nextgenmlmhacksradio.com.